Hello and welcome to blog number 72, me learning to play the Melodeon. A few weeks ago I decided I really wanted a Melodeon in the keys of B flat and E flat. So the same as a D, G, but just down 4 semitones. For a couple of reasons, just because I fancied one. One big reason was that a lot of the songs that I sing in the key of G on a D-G Melodeon are a bit high for me to sing, and I've figured out that if I do them in E flat, it's going to be more comfortable for me. So that's one of the reasons. I decided to get a lightweight box because I really struggle with my shoulder with the heavier boxes. And so I put an advert on Melnet, and lo and behold, John Spires, very famous Melodeon player in this country, known as Squeezy, founder member of Bellowhead, offered me his Hohner Liliput, this one in fact, and it was very reasonably priced, and so I bought it and I got it on Christmas Eve. He said it was a bit tatty and needed a bit of a tune up. To be honest though, it's actually pretty good. I've known worse. Yeah, there are a couple of marks and a couple of faults, but nothing that can't be easily rectified. So just in case you were thinking about buying one of these, I thought I'd give you a good old look round this one and tell you all about it. So the name Lilliput is written down here, just to the side of the bass buttons, and it's actually not the same spelling as in Gulliver's Travels by Jonathan Swift. He spelt his Lilliput with a double L in the middle, Lilliput, but Hohner spelled their Lilliput with a single L. That's just by way of interest. Not that that matters at all. So the people in Lilliput in Gulliver's Travels were 6 inches high. Well, I'm not 6 inches high, but it's still a pretty small Melodeon, very lightweight. It only weighs 4.5 pounds, so nice and comfortable. I think it's got the original shoulder straps and the original bellow straps and bass strap. They're all a bit worn, but they still work fine. I'm not sure if it would have had 2 straps. I think these were made in the 1930s, and the idea was for people to take them camping or for soldiers to take them to war, put them in their rucksack. I'll give you the physical dimensions of it. It's 9 inches high, top to bottom, or if you prefer, 23 centimetres. And with the bellows closed, it's 8 3/4 inches across, all the way across to the edge here, or 22 centimetres. And the depth, how far it sticks out from your body, if you like, is 5 inches or 12.5 centimetres. The buttons are tiny, you can probably see that. They're actually only 8 millimetres in diameter. To give you some idea, here's a typical Stettler HB pencil, and it's the same as the top of one of those. Look, if I do that, hope you can see that. So they really are tiny. About the same as my Sibylla Brandt GCF, which you may have seen. And they're 8 millimetres apart. So those are the physical dimensions. When this was made, it would have been in what they call club tuning, and I know lots of you understand what that means, but if you don't, it was a tuning designed for people in accordion clubs, hence the name. And the idea was that you could play cross row quite easily. I don't really understand the ramifications of it. I know a lot of people in the Melodeon world still swear by this system and have club tuned Melodians. It's a bit late in the day for me to change, but just so you know, it would have been in club tuning. What that means is, instead of this button here, button 5 being a B flat C, that would have been B flat on the push and the pull. So it would be like this in both directions. That's what's known as a Gleichton. Gleich is a German word meaning the same, I think. So the same in both directions. And the basses wouldn't have been the same as they are on this. This is A flat in both directions. These 2 buttons, the equivalent of C on a DG, yeah, the equivalent of the C basses. On the old club tuning, you would have had D flat and D flat major on the push, and A flat major on the pull, instead of A flat in both directions. But this has been what they call declubbed. In other words, it's put into kind of the modern tuning, same as all my DG and GC Melodeons. Same sort of layout, but obviously it's down 4 semitones from my DG. Or if you prefer it, it's upper minor third from my GC. It's kind of in the middle, isn't it, of those two tunings. So it would have been made in the 1930s, so at the time of doing this video it's getting on for about 90 years old, so it's in pretty good condition really. I mean, the bellows are in good nick. I mean, yeah, it's falling open a bit, it's probably a little bit leaky, but it's still fine. It's got all the usual Hohner faults. It's a bit clacky, the buttons disappear down the holes, and I'm hoping that Martin White can fix that for me. I'm hoping he can limit the travel of the buttons just like he's done on my Ericas. I'm not sure if that's possible on a Melodeon this small, but I will be finding out in the fullness of time. Yeah, there are a few marks on it, but what would you expect on something 90 years of age? It was fettled for John about 10 years ago. I'm guessing this grill is new, and the cloth behind it is pretty old. I'm guessing it's the original cloth and it's torn in places, but it doesn't affect the playing at all. It's tuned kind of swing tuning, so not ultra wet, which is really nice. I'm guessing originally it wasn't tuned like this, but kind of a modern tuning, which is I really like. I don't think it's dead tuned, and again that's something I could get Martin to do for me. But you know, basically this is not in bad condition. Let me just play you something on it. So you can hear it's got a nice tone, hasn't it? It's a bit clacky, you can hear the buttons clacking. It's kind of part of the charm, I think, of these things anyway. It suffers from what Martin calls snaking, and the bellows tend to sort of do this as you open them further and further. It doesn't come back cleanly, as probably a lot of that is my playing, but it does tend to do that bit. He did warn me about that when I spoke to him about Lilliputs probably about a couple of years ago. But you know, it's still, you know, fine. You can still cope with it, no problem. Now this particular Lilliput has what we call low notes. So at this end we've got a continuation of the notes that you find in the major chord. So it's third button start. So third button on this row is E flat on the push, and B flat on the push on this row. So as you come up to these buttons, you've got B flat and G, so you've got that E flat major chord, and here you've got B flat, F and D, and it's a B flat major chord there. So you haven't got any accidentals there, but they're all on this what we call 0.4 row, this extra row here. And they're actually laid out really, really well, and I'll show you why that is in a moment. On this button we've got E on the push and F sharp on the pull. On this button we've got C sharp on the push and B on the pull. On this button we've got C on the push, C sharp on the pull, and on this button we've got E on the push and F sharp on the pull, which is the octave on accidental button number 1. So they're an exact octave apart. So button number 1, this is the normal accidental that you would find on the B flat row if you had accidentals on this row. That would be on button 1, it's this one. And button 2 is the normal accidental button that you'd find on the E flat row on button 1. Button 3 is, well, it gives you a C on the push, which you haven't got anywhere else, and it gives you a C sharp on the pull. So this C sharp is on the push, this one's on the pull, so you've got a C sharp on the push and the pull, and like I said, this E and F sharp is an octave on this one. And so basically you've got, for the main, notes that you don't find either in the key of B flat major or E flat major, but you've also got a C here, which is handy on the push, where you've only got it on the pull there on the B flat row. And what this layout gives you is a lovely run of 21 chromatic notes, and I'll try and run through those. So what you've got there, starting with this note here, you've got a D all the way up to a B flat up here on the push here on button 8, and so you've got slightly over an octave and a fifth chromatically, which on a diatonic Melodeon is quite some feat. Obviously, normally without these accidentals, you're pretty much stuck with the notes that you find in the scales only. Okay, so that's worth mentioning, and I'm working on a version of the Bluebell Polka on this instrument. I've just done a lesson on it on the DG, just a standard DG with accidentals on the ends of the rows, but it's actually miles easier on this with these buttons in the middle of the Melodeon like they are, and I'll be showing you that in a subsequent blog. One thing I just want to mention before I finish this blog is just to recommend the use of a chromatic tuner like this when you're playing your Melodeon. I mentioned this in my tutorial on the Bluebell Polka yesterday, but it's just really handy to have this out and switched on. So if you play a note, you're not quite sure what note you're playing, or you want a particular note, and you think, oh, I wonder if that's a B, or that's a B flat, and then you just play the button and the chromatic tuner should pick it up. Okay, with 2 reeds on a button, it's not going to be particularly accurate, of course, because if they're tuned slightly apart, the tuner can't differentiate between the two, but it will give you, and I can see that's slightly sharp, well, it says A sharp, obviously it's B flat. So chromatic tuner, really useful thing to have out. I have been thinking about setting up a little keyboard here so that I can just, very quickly find out the notes I'm playing, but actually this is even better because you just play a note, and that's another B flat, and that's a D. It's really, really quick. I don't know why I didn't think of it before, but that's just a little tip for you. You've got one of these guitar tuners and it's chromatic. It's got to be a chromatic tuner that picks up all notes. Anyway, that's the end of this blog. I hope you found it interesting. If you have any questions about the Lilliput, do get in touch. You can get these, I think, in pretty much any key these days. I've seen them. There's lots of them in DG and B flat, E flat and CF. Don't know if I've seen a G, C one, but I expect it can be done. But they all started life in the club tuning, and so they all have to be changed. A lot of these are available still very cheaply, especially in Germany. But of course they're in the old club tuning, so you're looking at maybe a couple of £100 to get them converted and fettled. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please press the like button. Please consider subscribing to my channel, and if you hit that bell icon, you'll get notifications every time I upload something to YouTube. So thanks for watching, and you'll see me in the next video.